Thank you very much, Edna, for adding those details that I missed out on. I would like to also talk about Al-Shabaab and its involvement within the Somali government and how the Somali government. Yeah, Italian Somalia. So, number one, we'd like to start off with Mustafa Robo. Mustafa Robo is a minister of religion within the Italian trusteeship called Somalia today. He is a person that has had a $5 million bounty on his head. He has been a wanted person by the United States. He is not a person to be trusted. This government is not a government to be trusted. Also, adding on to Mustafa Robo is the president of Jubaland. The president of Jubaland, known as Muhammad, is or I think as they call him, what was his name? I believe it was along the lines of Abdi Midu or something like that. Muhammad Midu. I don't really care, but I will also pin up a thread about that man. He is the current president of Jubaland. He was elected, not elected. He was selected in 2013, and he has been holding that position. Jubaland is one of the most terror-infested regions within Somalia, and it has made Ahmed Madobe. Thank you. Ahmed Madobe is a man who is wanted too. He has been wanted in the past. Um, his full name is Ahmed Muhammad Islam Madobe. He's a former terrorist and now as they like to call it, a president, a provisional president, within Somalia. Um, and also, there's another man named Abdurrahman Fiqi, who is actually today the Minister of Foreign Affairs. He was the past uh, intelligence deputy director. He has, and there's actually many threads and many evidences to prove that he has utilized Al-Shabaab in a way to essentially scare other Congress, uh, not Congress, but politicians, in a way of, scaring them. Um, yes, and so the state of Somalia as it is right now, they claim to be fighting Al-Shabaab. They claim to be at the forefront and winning this battle against Al-Shabaab, but that is not true. I mean, quite recently, as you've seen in the news, there have been two Navy SEALs that have died on the coast of Puntland. They have not been able to secure their oceans. That is one. There was a UN helicopter recently that landed in an area infested with Al-Shabaab carrying weapons. Keep that in mind, that a UN helicopter was carrying weapons designated for who knows who, but it landed in an area infested with Al-Shabaab terrorists. These Al-Shabaab terrorists eventually captured that helicopter and those weapons, and they further on used it to kill 190 SNA soldiers in the state of Galmudug, which is a state, a part of Somalia, a federal member state. So when you look at all these things, it clearly shows that Somalia is not winning this battle. Somalia essentially does have elements of Al-Shabaab within its government. They utilize these Al-Shabaab people or these, networks to essentially tell the world, hey, we are fighting Al-Shabaab. We need this money. Essentially, we need this money to fight Al-Shabaab. But I'll post this link right real quick if I can find it as quick as possible. Um, the United States actually stopped or tried to stop a whole bunch of money that was being sent to Al-Shabaab fighters, and they utilized this through Hormuz, which is a company in Somalia. Let me try to find this link really quick so that you guys can see it. One sec. There we go. I have posted both links. So these are two links, and I'll also make a post about this very soon. The United States has tried to stop multiple people within the government of Somalia. He was the former security minister of Puntland, a region in Somalia, and was specially designated as a global terrorist. He is of a certain clan. I will not bear to mention that clan. Um, all these culprits are of essentially one state, but there are many others that are still not or have not been captured. A lot of these people are essentially utilizing this money to further bolster and essentially support Al-Shabaab. Al-Shabaab also has tried to infiltrate Somaliland this past year with the help of the government of Somalia, which also adds to the tally. They have utilized their own specially designated forces or battalions, such as Danab, Gurugor, and I believe the other one was Harmad. These forces are trained by outsider nations such as the US and Turkey. They have been spotted fighting in the most recent onslaught in Los Angeles, a city within Somaliland. There's also been trucks that were carrying quote unquote aid sent by the government of Somalia that have been captured by Somaliland forces. In these trucks, there have been weapons. Most of these drivers were lied to and were told that these were essentially something we call in Somali buskudir, or these peanut butter, designated for little kids or used to give little kids as a form of nutritional needs. So, is Somalia a state? As Edna stated, Somalia is technically not a state. Somalia is a provisional government with a provisional president with a provisional constitution. The last time that Somalia has had a essentially had a uh, election was actually in 1967. The longest running provisional government after Somalia would be the People's Republic of Vietnam that lasted about 11 to 9 years. And in that run, it was mainly due to the fact that they were fighting the US, people split up, um, and so they had their own issues. Looking at Somaliland and its case, in 2005, the African Union came to Somaliland for a fact-finding mission, and in that mission, they explicitly stated that Somaliland's case is entirely unique in the sense that there was no union that was ever ratified, meaning that the legal doors for Somaliland to be independent and recognized is there. It also stated that it would set a precedent for other countries who are wanting to become independent. One of the terms that Somalians like to use is secessionist, which is merely a facade that they like to play. They like to also state stuff as, Somaliland being a federal member state, which is an utter lie, mainly due to the fact that federal member states were created quite recently in 2012 with the help of the United States. I wonder why the United States has this issue in which they think that allowing Somaliland to become its own state, become its own independent nation, that it would open up a Pandora's box, which is quite different to what the African Union stated. But the facts on the ground are Somaliland is making deals with its neighbors, it's creating peace and stability within the region. It's opening access, for example, to 120 million Ethiopians to utilize a port within Somaliland known as the port of Berbera, situated on the Gulf of Berbera. Um, They've also rented out a small piece of water, or leased out a piece of water to Ethiopia so that they can also protect the interests of all, the people that use the Gulf of Berbera, mainly due to the fact that the Gulf of Berbera is a narrow piece of water in which 13% of the world's food comes through. Actually, correct me. 33% of the world's food comes through, 13% of the world's shipping goes through. So when we look at these sort of things, I mean, Somaliland has also had other, diplomatic relations with other countries, such as the government of Seychelles, in which they had a peaceful transfer of a prisoner in which they, swapped prisoners and such in 2011. So, I mean, the case clearly shows that, Somaliland is a country and Somalia technically is a failed state. Although it is recognized as a state by the international community, that should swiftly be taken back. We should also look further on as how Somaliland has kept its borders safe for the past 32 years. We should also look at how the Somali government is aiding and embedding genocidaries. For example, in the case of today, where we have a person such as Ilhan Omar, who has been speaking out against Somaliland and its deal with Ethiopia, there's been many debates on who she is, where she came from, and why there's a whole bunch of people attacking her for essentially supporting Somalia. So we'll talk about Ilhan and then we'll talk about the Somalia that she supports. Ilhan is a female who made it into the US by lying. She claimed that she was a person that escaped genocide, death, and carnage, which is totally untrue, as her father was a part of the Siad Barre regime. Who also committed to genocide against 500,000 Somalilanders. When she essentially claimed that she was dying and her people were dying and that she ran away, she went to Kenya, in which she lived there for 4 years before making it to the United States. She lived her lavish life there due to the fact that the Siad Barre regime and its colonels and its supporters essentially made a lot of money off the country. So her father was essentially rich at the time. They lived in a pretty wealthy part of America, and that's where she gained her uh, that's where she went to college and later on ran for Congress. She ran for Congress in the 5th District of Minnesota, and she was essentially propped up by Somalians from Somalia to essentially be a mole for the Somali government. Um, she has made it into Congress. She has not essentially done anything for the 5th District of Minnesota. She's supporting things like LGBTQ and same-sex marriage and all those other, democratic things. She's a part of a hit crew known as the Squad that essentially want to undermine everything that America does, anything that's good for America. And so now, why is she supporting Somali? Well, obviously, like I said, she's a female that was propped up by Somali ends to further bolster Somali. She claims in her most recent speech that she will protect Somalia's interest and that she'll protect Somalia's seas, which is totally and unequivocally treasonous. There's no doubt about it. It's verbatim what she has stated. She's also gone to the point where she says she has a special relationship with the president of Somalia, which he calls her, where he calls her my daughter and she calls him my uncle, which is also something else that the ethics committee needs to look at because, to my knowledge, when she went into office for the Foreign Affairs Committee, she has not stated anything of that sort. She has not presented that as a fact, and that is an area of conflict when dealing with Somalia's cause. So now, there's a lot of Americans, such as me. As an American, I find it quite disgusting that Ilhan Omar has, used those sort of words. She's a congresswoman. To my knowledge, Congress is not a part of a third world nation. Congress is based in America, and it works for the Americans. She does not only work for the 5th District, in which she has done nothing for, she works for all Americans. Um, and now, when we look at the case of what she has done, she has claimed many things, she has said many things, and so, what is it that sparked outrage all across the world is the fact that she claims to be supporting Somalia's cause, which is totally wrong. Put that aside. Now let's look at who and what she supports. She supports a provisional government that essentially does not rule any space on their land. Um, she also she okay, let me try to make this in a better let me try to say this in a better way. She supports a terroristic nation, people who have hate, who have ethno-racism amongst them. She supports a group of people that are essentially hating everybody else, from their own people to quote unquote, the rest of the world. For example, there's a community within Somalia known as the Benadiris, who are ethnically, a mix. There, some of them are Madamato, some of them are, you know, Chinese, actually, if you didn't know, because Mogadishu at the time had Chinese people, Chinese travelers. And so it's a mixed race community that speaks a totally different language from Somali. There's also people known as the Bantu, or the assimilated Bantu known as the Jarers in Somali, that's translated to the hard-haired people, in which they don't receive any to no representation within the government. They have this system in Somalia known as the 4.5 system, in which each clan is essentially, or each human being is designated a number, essentially equating them to the number, saying you are less than a human being, you are half a human being for being from that clan or being from that ethnicity. There's this thing that, Somalis like to do, or Somalians like to do, is they like to say we are one nation, we speak one language, which is totally untrue. They don't speak the same language amongst themselves in Somalia. And they don't treat each other as, a one nation. Everybody's divided. So that is who she supports. She also supports a government that has Al-Shabaab. I mean, she quite recently tweeted a Al-Shabaab sympathizer, um, by the name of Mujahid on Twitter. He quickly ran away, hiding all of his essentially tweets. After he hid all his tweets, he tried to then change his username.
quick links
And so we
page,
already know
and
who
I
that
think you
person
guys
is,
will
and
really like this.
hopefully, we will send the correct, people after that person. So she essentially retweeted a person that supports Al-Shabaab. She supports a government that is Al-Shabaab. So it's all these intricacies that the American people have seen, and that the American people want to stop. This is not the act of a congressperson. This is not the act of Americans in general. We don't support these sort of things. So now let's move back on to Edna. Do you want to speak, or is there anybody else that has questions that want to join? Welcome, Asia. What are your thoughts on this topic? Any opinions you want to share?
Thank you, Dr. Salman. Assalamu alaikum to you and to all the Somalilanders in the space. I think you covered it all, mashallah. And I think because the space is recorded, a lot of Somalilanders kind of don't like recorded spaces. But yeah, you covered it, to be honest. It's just that I wanted to add, Somalia likes to be a failed state because it suits them. They get all these funds from the world. They avoid responsibility and accountability, and it suits them. So, why work hard? Why work with Al-Shabaab? And the other thing is that, like you said, Al-Shabaab is Somalia and Somalia is Al-Shabaab. They work together, and that was proven in the last month because, as we all have seen, there were statements from the Somalia government and also the Al-Shabaab terrorists. They all use this exact same language. And I think it was one of the Somalia ministers who said Somaliland is more dangerous than Al-Shabaab. So obviously that shows you Al-Shabaab is only a weapon they use to just, milk the international community and just to get more funds for their terrorist state. So, Somalia is a danger, not only to the Horn of Africa and Africa, but also to the whole world. Um, so that's just my comment um, about the topic. And it is Somalia a
Yeah.
state, like we said before. We know that Somalia never gained independence, was never sovereign. We know that for a fact. And, Somalia is an imposter because Somalia is using 26 June papers and credentials in the UN. And all that we have to do as Somalilanders is just to go and prove that. That's all we have to do, basically. Um, our help. So we're doing fundraising for him, and the tweet is up there. Please, if you can help, please help. If not, please just retweet the tweet. Thank you so much, Dr. Selman.
Yeah. Thank you, Sia, for Asia, for telling us about this man. Absolutely, I believe we need to support our heroes, the people that stood up for us, without a shadow of a doubt. Inshallah, I'll also be making posts on Facebook, and I'll be sending this to other people that can also help up with donations. Could you tell me, does that number have a Z? I think that's a 063, correct? Does it have a Z?
Walalo, I have not spoken to the brother. I do not know him. I have no idea whether it has sad or not. I only saw the number on Facebook. Waridat, who's very trusted, also another patriotic Somalilander, he shared the number, and he said, "Please, guys, help him." The brother didn't even ask for help because, obviously, as we know, Somalilanders are very proud people. They don't ask for help, and they try to manage by themselves. So I know the number was shared by Waridat TV, and that's where I got his number from. So I'm assuming whether you send it by SAD or maybe just send it so he can take it from one of those money transfer companies. Just to add one more thing, Dr. Salman, what really got me feeling very sad was he said, well, I could travel by land and go to Ethiopia for medical care, but because my face is known for the enemy, uh, I worry for my safety because it's a lot cheaper to travel by land to go to Ethiopia for medical care. So he wants to take a plane to Ethiopia. So it made me very sad and emotional. And I'm thinking, gosh, landers back home are not even feeling safe to do the right thing, which is defend your country, defend your existence. So thank you, Olalo. But I'm not sure about the sad part.
Okay. I'll look into it. I'll try to contact this person on Facebook, inshallah. adeer mawliid soo dhawow haddii doonaysa inaad ka hadasho ciwaanka iyo ra'yigaaga waad ka hadli kartaa insha allah bidnaahi kariim soo dhawow
Dr. Salman, before Mr. Maulid gets the mic, now see what Asia talked about. Asia is talking about someone in Somaliland threatened. And all this stems from Somaliland statehood being hidden away by Somalia. So Somalia is utilizing Somaliland's credentials to even today take away the humanity of Somalilanders. So Ilhan Omar committed two big crimes here. One, a treasonous act against her adopted country, the United States of America. Another is to hide and obscure the Republic of Somaliland from the world. Hence, the people of Somaliland can be treated however Somalia and its inhabitants want. This is something that we have to push. We need to show everybody that the people of Somaliland, their existence, their humanity has been stripped away by Somalia's attempt to obscure, hide the statehood of the people of Somaliland. So, for example, you talked about ALSHABAB, Dr. Salman, and Somalia. Somalia, their officials, something that is documented recently, they blatantly stated that ALSHABAB is better than the Somali deeds. The Somali deeds are the people of Somaliland. This is what Ilhan Omar alluded to. Ilhan Omar called the people of Somaliland Kuwa Sheikta Somali, those who claim they are Somali. So look, and the government of Somalia, in alignment with what Ilhan Omar is saying, stated that Al-Shabaab, that America has utilized $55 billion to try and curb in Somalia, is worse than the Somali deeds, the people of Somaliland. The people of Somaliland, who with their meager resources have become a buffer for the whole world against terrorism. So you see, Dr. Salman, I think we need to push our case forward. And I think, to be honest, the people, the civil society of Somaliland, the government of Somaliland should bring Ilhan Omar to an American court and ask the American government if they are with their Congress woman in her attempt to annex and occupy the Republic of Somaliland. Thank you. I think Mr. Maulid is here.
Mr. Adeer Mawlid ku soco insha allah.
Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Adiyad ban salamaya. Just I'm saying my word in Somali, really. And waxaan soo qabsaday horta kuleyna Dr. Salman aan halkan ka bariidiyo maanta suuqa ay horeyso. And aad baan doctor ku salaamaya. Aad iyo aad baan ku salaamaya billahi alayk. And qodobka labaad waxa weeyaan waxaan soo qabsaday inaan support gareeyo announcement-ka ay samaysay Asia. يعني waxa weeyaan bilxaqiiqatan waa inaan patriotic abu ahaa weeyaan inaan volunteer abu ahaa bilxaqiiqatan hardliner يعني waxa weeyaan exactly dadkeennii dee muxuu ahaa ku dhac lahaa buu ahaa dalka difaaciyey wax badan qanciyey oo muxuu ahaa iyo weeyaan maantana wuxuu u baahan yahay medical help marka waa taqaanaan sida dadka loo caawiyo as well as sida dalka loogu dagaalamo waxaad ku darsataan sida dadka loo caawiyo weliba dadka muxuu ahaa loo wada qalmay laakiin dadka mudan haddana ilaa xad marka tigidhka waa runteed Aasiya oo yacni isagoo dee xanuunkiisuba xanuun adag yahay oo dee muxuu ahaa uu ka warwarayo in dee qalliinkiisu uu noqdo qalliin uu ka warwarayo buro iyo loo kala garan lahaye weli haddana yes sidaa waan maqlay inuu sidaa yidhi marka wuxuu maleeya ha la caawiyo inanka يعني you know how and where waad garanaysaan dee meesha la marinayo iyo waad heli karaysaan idinka Yurub iyo qurbihiiyo noo joogo anigoo inaan u hadlo oon kelmad keliya oo idhaahdo iyo waajibkayga wixii aan tari karana taro suuqa ka raadiyo waan heli karaa laakiin waxa weeyaan soo raadi soo muxuu ahaa isu soo dara wax inankaa degdeg baaqa Aasiya looga soo jawaabo aad iyo aad muxuu ahaa kamaan hadlayn taasi waxaan u soo qabtay inaan iska kiin dhageystaan doonaya caawa xaqiiqatan laakiin baaqa Aasiya inaan support gareeyo oon yani korqaad ku sameeyo baan doonaya ha loo kaco inanka ha loo kaco isu sheega tweet gareeya nambarkiisana isku gudbiya si degdega uga soo jawaaba wax xaggiina ku badan laakiin isagay maanta ku badan tahay asaguna maantiyo shalay iyo ka waliba carruura iyo front kasta ayuu taagnaa muxuu ahaa areadan aynu ku jirnaynu ka dagaalamayno ayuu muxuu ahaa weliba si hardliner uga dagaalamayay marka waxa weeyaan allah idin caawiyo allah idin gargaaro waan idin ducaynayaa inankaas baaqa Aasiya laga jawaabo aad iyo aad baan idin salaamay Dr. Salmaan waan ku salaamaya adeer
Adeer waan kaa qaaday, masha Allah. You're always welcome to the spaces. Inshallah, I'd also like to add on to Edna's point. There has to be a reason for why Ilhan Omar is against Somaliland and its independence. I also think that one of the reasons why she's against it is because she knows that the moment Somaliland gets independence, Somalia will not be able to gain more money and essentially pocketing more money. It also shows the fact that when it comes to money and economics, Somaliland is far stronger and far greater than the Italian Somalia. So, one of the things that I'd like to add on about the economic side of Somaliland is that Somaliland uses something called e-remittance, which is essentially you hear the name, like I said before, Zad, eDahab, and many of these other companies in which you don't have to have cash on you. You don't need a credit card. You essentially put in a few digits in your phone and you'd be able to send money all around the country itself. And so this is one of the things that, Somaliland created. It's I think one of the only nations in the world right now that is using e-remittance in the way it is. I believe that many other countries may have it, but the way that it's being used in Somaliland and its daily life is very unique. So it clearly shows that Somaliland is far greater economically. It's far greater on an intellectual level because we are intellectually developing at a rapid rate. When it comes to technology, Somaliland is the only country in the world that uses iris scanning during elections, in which so that it combats people from voting 2 or more times. These are many things that I believe that Ilhan Omar is against, solely for the fact that Somalia has not been able to achieve anything. As Edna said before, America has given Somalia $55 billion. And I believe as an American, we've been robbed by Somalia, mainly due to the fact that those $55 billion were taxpayers' monies. It's eventually gotten to ALSHABAB. It's gotten to the pockets of ALSHABAB, and it's gotten, wasted instead of working on healthcare and, the better good of American people. It's just gone to waste. I believe we have a new speaker, Khadr, if you want to go ahead.
يا السلام عليكم دمانتو وإذن سلام يا waxaan doonayaa uun yarka codsiga soo gudbistay yarka dadka dhegeystaan ku jira waa nin yaroo aad u masxabadan oo fariida qadiyadiisana strong ku ah marka ninka ha la caawiyo boqol inaga mid oo intaynu twitterka isticmaasho inayadan cid kale la aadin haddaynu $100 u diro that's a 10,000 right there meeshu tagayana waa Ethiopia qaali maaha healthcare-ku sida maaha Turkiya iyo India iyo inaanu isku fahmnahay oo dhawaan tagay oo MRI-ga wuxuu koos gareeyaa buu yidhi in scan lagaaga qaado MRI-ga lagu geliyo $50 oo keliya dhakhtarada ugu wanaagsan Ethiopia marka hadday qalliin iyo wax kale tagto dee ilaahayba kama dhigay ay noqoto buro xun waa different story ay qalliin gasho laakiin ninka $10,000 haddaynu u rays garayno boqol ah waa 100 qof oo boqol ah it's gonna do a lot for him numberkiisa waxaa dhawaan soo post gareeyay nin yaro isagoo kale ah aad u karti badan aad u fiican Somaliland aad u difaaca oo kasoo gala Digaal TV magaciisa ma xasuusto Digaal TV ninkaasaan nambarkiisa soo post gareeyey marka anigu ninkaan caawino anigu naftayda waa ka bilaabayaa aan caawino ninka 100 2 3 qofba wuxuu awoodo waan idin salaamaya barakallahu fiikum
شكرا بالحقيقة صحيح وهو humanitarian أبيل آسيا هو صور أبيل كاسي وأنا وذا أركيني وأنا وذا داونيني يعني waxa weeyaan maanta dee hadduu maanta ama qoyskoodu waan uu maanta reerku waxayo ama uu isagu waxayo muu yidhaahdeen laakiin inaanu maanta uu cidlo taagan yahay oo muxuu ahaa gacanta waxba ku hayna aswalas xanuunka ataagayna oo xanuun meel xun kaga yaala halka dhuunta ah uu yahay shakina yeeshay siduu sheegayo oo aan bura iyo maxay iyo loo weli loo kala garanayn anyway oo medical help buu baahan insha Allah bura Allah ka dhigo ama xoojiya iskugu taga muxuu ahaa aynu iskugu tagno iskama reebayo aynu iskugu tagno anu insha Allah waan heli doonaa suuq baan keli doonaa ama telefoonkiisa toosoo la hadli doonaa aynu isugu tagno billahi calaykum abiilkaasi aynu wax ka qabano insha Allah biidnillah intaasaan usoo qabsaday arrinta kale idan eedna su-aashana waan maad iigu celi Salmaano su-aashii iigu celi
Somalia ma waxa weeyaan terroristic as in ALSHABAB bay la shaqeeyaan u shaqeeyaan iyaga ALSHABAB ma yihiin iyo hadday maxaan dhahay iyo Soomaaliya hadday xuduudo leedahay amba ay tahay wadan labada saddexda ka jawaab haddii doonaysid laba ma ka jawaab daarad
So can I say in Somali? No, Dr. Salman, or can I just say in a broken English? Yeah.
Maybe you can say af Somali waad ku oran kartaa cidna ku diidi mayso
بالحقيقة waxa weeyaan waa isku hadaf oo al-shabaab iyo muxuu ahaa federal states waa isku hadaf waa inay destroy gareeyaan oo muxuu ahaa ka dhigaan ammaanka geeska Afrika waa inay dawaqiyaan waa inay wax Soomaali weyn la yidhaah raadiyaan in the future xuduudahana inaway maba aqoonsana yani kuwan kalena cidaan xuduudaba aqoonsanayn inay wehelo ka dhigtaan way doonayaan kuwan federal state-kii oo xuduudii dee Ethiopia bari ku qabsanaysa Somaliland markay aqoonsiga hesho su-aasha ugu horreysay miiska la soo dhigaya kursigani wuxuu dhabta ugu soo dhacayaa United Nations-ku ee magaca Soomaaliya ku diiwaan gashan hargeysuu dhabta ugu soo dhacay automatic marka waxa weeyaan wararka kala qabtaa iman doonto waxa la isku qabsanaya xuduudii dhaashka ahayd oo ay marka horeba ku waayeen marka cid iyagu geeska Afrika yani amaan xumo ka rida oo dabadeedna muslimnimo iyo islaam waa la wada yahay laakiin haddana geeska Afrika Soomaalida joogta iyo waxaas isku geegeysa way doonayaan way isku hadaf halkan midda kale wasiiradoodii iyo dowladooda bay ka mid yihiin oo way isku hadaftaana midda kale xamar bay ka abaabulayeen way isku headquarter oo waa taasina way isku hadaf midda kale xagga ethnical iyo maxayna waa isku reero oo dadkii weeyaan marka waxaynu ku kala guri karnaaba siyaabo loo kala guri karaaba ma jiro waa huwan caadi oo cusub waa new coalition weeyaan waliba the same hadaf leh isku objective isku dana isku geographical area geopolitics wada leh marka waxa weeyaan maanta lama kala guri karayo kuwaas aniga waa siday ila tahay aad iyo aad baan islaam
fruit of the SNM warrior go ahead
Assalamu alaikum Maulid Edna Dr. Salman and everyone else on here horta anigu isku dhaxkaraskaygii baan iskaga hadlaya English iyo Soomaali isku yara jajabsan oo dad kale kolleyba la joogo waan arkaa anyway Somalia is a terroristic trusteeship of course it is we see that today with Ilhan retweeting handles that have Al-Shabaab-esque messages we see their government their selected government leaders and MPs all discussing matters about Shabab, and it's the same words coming out of both ends, guys. We need to use that to our advantage right now. Intenaba. That's a great defense. These guys are doing everything for us. We don't even have to do anything. Every day, another foot's going in the mouth down over yonder. So, guys, Maraykan intina chogana. I know there's the mama benio. Like you want okay, inta Maraykan choga. Wink, wink. Come on, guys. Fardiga kaka. Habokora datka representatives Kina. I've already started that in Canada. I've only been here 2 weeks. I've been back 2 weeks. I already wrote to my representative. I've set up a meeting with a couple of guys with my MP. Come on, guys. We can get this going further and faster. Everyone needs to do something. Inta Arabta choga. Adat shiyuqtu dodi lahadla. Inta Ingris ka choga. You guys have representation. Don't wait on ambassadors that were ambassadors can adunida no choga. Some of them have been just taking a paycheck, taking a picture here and there. Not enough. Not enough, guys. We all need to go hands on in this thing. Right now is the opportune moment. The whole world is watching us. Get up off your seats and do something. And if you don't want to discuss it in public, make sure it's felt everywhere, guys. Inshallah. Inta assalamu alaikum. Wandi wa kusu alay Dr. Salmano.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, Fruit. As of today, I've contacted a lot of accounts that have many followings based in America. Some of which have, responded and have posted. And inshallah, I want us Somalilanders to also dig up evidence, do our research and compile it, and not only spread it amongst ourselves, spread it amongst everybody else that you know. Um, لكن إحنا عارفيننا تقارب waxyaabo yaryar oo yacni soo qorqoraya aan ahayn wax runa marka be weary of those sort of things and don't spread those types of things. Spread the truth and only the truth, inshallah. Inshallah, I personally want to end this space. If you guys want to add final remarks, because I want to keep these short and concise. Although today is like a practice run for me. I don't usually open spaces. I usually just speak in spaces. So I'll get used to recording and making spaces. I am not fully trained in this arena. So inshallah, this will be part one of many other parts to come. I will keep them every other day. I'll try and open a space if I can. But I am quite busy sometimes. So, any final remarks from the people on stage? If there's someone in the comments or in the bottom that wants to come up and ask a question, or if they want to, give their opinion, you can. So, any requests, you'll be able to come. Any final remarks, guys? Okay, so I think everybody else is done with the remarks, inshallah. Today is Thursday, February 1st. Inshallah, we'll open another space on Saturday. Yep, on Saturday, on the February 3rd. Inshallah, you guys will tune in. I'll have better speakers. We had amazing speakers such as Edna, Sia, Maulid, and Fruit. Inshallah, we'll have more speakers that will come and debunk the